All right.
Ooh.
It is Friday.
It is Friday.
And we are fired
We're
up.
fired up. You
What
ready
is
to
up,
go?
bro?
Come on.
Oh my God. Why does it feel like 100 years since we've done this?
I don't know. What happened?
I don't
Where have
know.
you been?
I've been lost.
I was lost without you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
But now here we are together.
Here we are.
And,
the world is right.
And who have you brought?
Instead of going to Alaska, I brought Alaska to us. So Gideon, my oldest son, flew in this morning. He literally has gone all night, basically no sleeping, landed at like 6 o'clock this morning. And I was like, how do you feel about a podcast? And he's like, I don't feel like I have a choice. So here we are.
I love it. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm pretty sure he could take you.
He could.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
If I had to bet my own money, yeah.
Yeah. No,
I have.
yeah.
Whoa, all right.
Not that we've had competitions and he kicked my butt multiple times. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking like a double leg takedown.
Oh, it's
over.
It's very easy at this point. Yes.
So, okay. So he flew, y'all. You imported Alaska.
Imported
So we've got
Alaska.
Wayne and Son.
Yes.
So what is the occasion?
So the occasion is we are about to. So I'm very fortunate to have a son that likes the same music as I like. So we're about to do 2 concerts in 2 days. We're gonna go rock it out. We got Old Found Glory, and then we got Neck Deep up in Tulsa. So we're gonna rock it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a few Neck Deep songs on the playlist.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive. There you go. He's usually plays like, you remember these guys? I was like, no, I don't. I don't remember. Him and Lance get jamming out, and I'm like, glad you guys are.
The one that always comes up, my colors are yellowing. Last album,
you
whatever
go.
that
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah.
Low Life, that's what it's called.
Yes,
the song.
amen.
Yeah.
Yes, which is how we feel.
Yes.
So, and Gideon, what are you? So, what did you just get a couple? What was it? A week ago? 2 weeks ago?
Oh, my private pilot license.
Ooh,
Bro.
legit.
I struggle with driving still.
I still worry about him driving to Walmart and back. And it's like first time he I saw my daughter FaceTime me and he was like Gideon was like taking off and landing, and there was some dust in the air at that moment. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so is that like the Cessna deal? Like
Yeah.
okay.
Just a basic Cessna 172.
It's
that's it.
Classic.
Yeah,
classic
it's
basic
above
training.
my pay grade.
Absolutely.
So that's impressive regardless.
Yes.
So, okay, what possessed you at 8? Yeah, I'm assuming 18 is the minimum.
It's actually 17, believe it or not. You have
Wow.
to, if I remember correctly, you have to be 17 at least
Wow.
to get it.
Crazy.
So is there like a Hero Nation Air? Is that the?
That's what I hope. I just figure if he becomes a pilot, my other son becomes a chiropractor. You know, I just got to get a whole thing planned.
Dude, I went to Stretch Lab this morning, bro.
Oh, amazing! So
Can't
good.
live with it. And it's like a combination of chiropractor and massage.
Yeah.
But it's more like personal trainer where they come in and go like, where does it hurt?
Mine started giving me a discount because of the coaching I was giving her.
Oh.
No joke. She's like, I appreciate you coming here as much as you. So I kind of turned into a you stretch me and I'll.
Oh, I love.
help your
Okay,
life.
so dude, I might start doing that.
They should.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
good.
because like the gal that is my flexologist or whatever,
Yes.
whatever their
Which
little,
is a totally made up word.
Yeah, whatever
I'm
their
a
little
flexologist.
Yeah,
I'm just
they're-
gonna make you hurt and call it a job.
Their little branding gimmick. She's on Instagram all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh,
Oh, there we go.
barter system.
There we
incoming.
go. There we go.
So now there was a little something else.
Yes. What are you about to go do in 10 days or so?
Boot camp, Air Force. It's pretty.
I know.
Okay, so now is there a correlation there between the Cessna license and the Air Force? So you wanted to like pilot like big ass planes or?
Relatively, I'm aiming for piloting or being a pilot in the Air Force. And the private pilot license is kind of a little bit of an extra edge against the other people because it's really competitive. So if I get that along with my college degree and whatnot, then hopefully I'll have a better chance than some other people. So.
There you go.
It sounds like you may have had good coaching.
He did not. I wish I could take credit for it. I get to take credit for 0, just to be very clear. Yeah, no, he's had a good head on his shoulders since he was tiny. So yeah. So going into boot camp, which would be awesome. Here's my question for you. What's it like to be a teenager these days? Like, what's it like? What advice do you have for parents out there that are trying to raise teenagers?
Keep them off of social media and phones, I'd say.
This is probably true.
I'm a huge hater of social media, and I think it's a huge detriment to, especially kids these days.
Why
seeing
do you
it
think
in
that is?
seeing it in my own generation. I mean, like it's so easy to get warped up in, and it like I don't know. I think it just takes a lot of people's drive away, and it like makes people lazy. It makes people have false expectations and standards of certain things, and it's also kind of like destroyed like the entire like dating scene too, because it's like you have so many like options everywhere, and it's just like it's a mess, honestly. And of course it's like super secular, and it's just like I would keep them off of social media. My mom didn't let me have social media until I was 16, and then I started hating it right after I got it. But,
Crazy.
yeah.
What do you think makes it tough to be a teenager now nowadays? What are the 2 or 3 biggest things you think kids struggle with?
I don't know. I'd probably say kind of the same thing. I think in like I'm not sure how I'd answer that.
Well, and you were
honestly.
talking the other day, like how many of your friends really have direct? I mean, some of yours do, but like when you look around, like how many kids actually have direction with what they're going to go do with their life?
Not much. I mean, like I was fortunate to go to a school that you had to get accepted into, and it was a little bit higher level than the public schools around the area. So our school was a little different than the regular public schools, but the majority of kids, I mean, they don't really have like much of an idea of what they're doing. They're just kind of going to college to find themselves and figure out what they want to do.
So they're just kind of put into the machine.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you go here to the public school, which essentially, back in the day, to just call a spade, it was essentially to like train you to go to a place,
Right.
do a thing that they tell you to
Right.
do. Then when the bell rings, you go to another thing.
Right.
And then when the bell rings, you come back.
Yeah.
And it was just a conditioning, like it's the social science of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
train-
Now you're ready to go make Model Ts or whatever.
Yeah,
or-
exactly. Yeah. First we did Model Ts, and then it's like now you're ready to go do data entry at
Right.
like some half-assed,
Yes.
cubicle for 20 years or whatever.
Brutal.
Yeah, well, and kudos to you for not getting sucked up into the the gravity well of social media and just the it's like I was joking with a friend earlier where she posts a thing and it's like a cute picture or whatever. I'm like, oh, external validation incoming.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
But like there, I'm only half kidding
Yeah.
in the sense
Yeah.
of that's obviously why I do it. And then that's what she receives it.
Well, and you see so many of these kids. I mean, I see it in adults too. It was like we've built this world where we're starving for these dopamine hits in a sense. So it's all about the likes and the comments, and everything else. We're so busy. But we're not actually doing anything, right? Like there's so much busy, there's so much I need social validation, so much all this other stuff, but we're not actually accomplishing. You know what I mean? And I see so many of these young kids who are, like they get out of high school with no idea what they want to do with their life, and then they go to college for another 4 to 6 years, still have no idea what they want to do with their life, and then they actually need to go experience stuff to actually decide what they want to go do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when we take away summer jobs and all this other kind of stuff, they're really not exposed. Like you need to do a bunch of things so like, oh, I hate that, right? Oh, I kind of like this, or oh, like I had one person like wanted to be a nurse and then spent like a week in the clinic, and she's like, wow, I really hate blood. You know what I mean? It's like, well, cool. I'm glad we figured that out before like 8 more years.
Yeah, we
You know
narrowed
what I
that
mean?
down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think we've stunted a generation that by the time you're 30, now you need to pick what you want to do. And it's just it's like we've got this whole stunted. Then you see, what I see is, and I'll be really aggressive. You see a lot of these people are like, oh, cool. Now I need to have kids in the next 2 years. So then they're like, I ticked away my 10 years. Now I need to make this happen right away, and it creates this whole mess.
Well, and there's that whole thing of, at least I remember it from when I was his age, where it was like, you needed to have your whole
They
thing.
didn't actually have phones, so just to be
Yeah.
clear.
Well, after we rubbed the sticks in the fire and then we could see what we were doing.
Yeah, smoke signals.
Yeah. Then we would like chisel on the stone tablet
Yeah.
and like just kind of, rough ideas of what we wanted to do. And so it was like, oh, what do you want to be? Like by 16 or 17,
Yeah.
it was like, well, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I'm like, how would I even know?
Right.
And it was like, and then today it's kind of what he was talking about earlier, where it's this overload of optionality, or it's even worse. It's the perceived options, like the whole
absolutely,
dating
yes,
thing. It's
yeah.
like there really aren't 10,000 girls for
Correct.
you to pick from. It's just that you can actually see 10,000 girls,
Yeah. Yeah.
and half of them are robots and half of them
Yeah.
are, super high filtered images of something that doesn't look anything like
Correct.
but the whole thing now, and I think about, everybody always has a thing where like, well, if I would have been around when the Nazis were around, I would have stood up and I would have done something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's like, I'd have hit Anne Frank in my attic. No, you probably wouldn't.
Probably wouldn't have. Yep.
And so like, I'd like to think that like, oh man, I would totally be against everything that is the machine or whatever. And in reality, I'd probably be completely lost at sea, raised in that world, especially where you're raised in almost like a vacuum that is filled, because it's like if you're just sitting here and this is all you do, you're raised in a vacuum as far as actual humans go, but then that fills it with just goofy shit like all day, every day. And then you lose the ability to filter, because like what you were saying, where like you have zero experience with anything, so you think that this is all real.
Correct.
And I watch people now where I see, folks that have kids, and then it becomes this weird competition. Like the parents get sucked into it, and it becomes this weird competition of like, okay, so over here's Peter Pan that's never growing up, and then like you have the actual kid, and now it's like mom's my best friend, mom's the bestie, and it's like, wow, okay, that seems to be a bit much, but it's almost, it doesn't seem like it was designed. But there's certain things that human nature just, it all takes over. Like what you're saying about the dopamine hit.
Right.
The like the monkey with, or was it the rat or the cocaine? I remember in the 80s, a long time ago.
Something to do with rats, cocaine, heroin. It
was the thing where they'd give the rat, I want to say monkey, but that seems a little too extreme. But like a coked up monkey just pushing a button or whatever.
What's that monkey that like killed the person that raised her for like 10 years and the monkey turned?
Yeah. Well, like that.
Never trust a monkey.
Dude.
Don't turn your back on a cocaine monkey. That's just, that's a life principle. Write that down. These are principles.
There you go. Today's takeaway, never trust a coked up monkey.
Don't coke up your gorilla.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is like chimpanzees, it's like, oh, they're like people.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're like 10x stronger.
Yes.
And they're just vicious. They'll go right for.
No, it's kind of like when I try to attack Gideon. It's like, I think I have this, and I super don't have it. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, he's all.
I know. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that I think we're missing, and especially talking to real estate agents, so a couple weeks ago, we did the mastermind in New York, and then we did our 30 under 30, right? So we did a bunch of things. And, I was writing down, okay, what are some of the common themes of everybody that I was able to observe, for the last several days when I was there? It's like, what are some of the common themes? I'll tell you what, the ones that are succeeding, here's two things they have that I think we've got to get conscious about instilling in ourselves and then attempting to instill in our kids. And those two things are, first is like a commitment to mastery. So in other words, like the highest achievers are like, they don't take anything for granted. They're like I gave my listing presentation, but I'm also like, where can I get better at? They write it out, they practice it over. Then they actually record themselves giving a listing presentation, and they watch it back like, ooh, that word wasn't great, or how I was looking, right? Like they get into a mastery level, just like pro athletes, right? Like they look at their game film. I'm like, man, I'm the best, but I could still get better. So like, there's a commitment to mastery that I think a lot of us have lost, right? We get kind of, and I think part of it is we live in a world where we're kind of taught we're supposed to be good at everything. So just focus on what you're weak at. And I think that there's some BS in that.
Yeah.
It's like,
I would say lean into what you're good at and like really sharpen that blade.
Absolutely. Like, go be the best in the world at this thing. So I think that was a really one that's like, and then the second thing is they're willing to do the deep work. And the deep work is like the really boring stuff. It's like the late night, how do I get this funnel to work? It's the late night, like, hey, what do I need to record tomorrow? Like it's doing the deep work that is like hard and intense. It's the 10,000 hours, right? Behind the scenes that nobody's clapping for. You know what I mean? It's how many people are like, hey, it's cool you got your pilot's license. Yeah, but did you want to do what he did, right?
Yes.
Like you want what he has, but are you willing to do what he did?
Yeah.
And so many people are like, how do I skip the line?
I just had like 173 quotes, and it's like, okay, there's Robert Greene's Mastery,
right?
And then Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, and then there's the whole thing of everybody wants what you have, and they're envious of what you've got, but they don't want to do what you did to get it.
Correct.
And it's like, as long as you can kind of keep that mindset, and then to tie it into the social media thing, and awesome that he doesn't have that that sort of mind virus, because
no, I'll send him videos, and he's like, I don't have it, Dad, and I'm like, dang it, I'm trying.
Well, the beauty of that is he's not caught up in a world where learning how to fake it is a skill.
100%.
And what people don't realize is like, well, that dopamine isn't shit, dude. That's like having cotton candy for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, like the first 2 bites are awesome.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, like eat half a pound of that.
Yeah.
You know, then it's like, oh wow, there's no nutrient value there at all.
Yeah.
And that's the same with, I can make it look like I'm rich, or I look like I'm something, you know, or fill in the blank, you know. And it's like, I'm the polar opposite, dude. Where it's like, if you saw my car, you'd be like, that thing runs, you know. And but there again, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know. And then it's, what are you doing when nobody's looking?
Exactly.
You know, because people are, you know, they'll be like, what are you doing? What are you doing tomorrow? Well, as a matter of fact, I have to make nice with my CPA, and so there's like 73 spreadsheets. And this morning I put Mile IQ back on my phone because, like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, because they're relentless.
Yes.
Although I was telling Lance this morning, I'm like, dude, I think I might actually be in love with them after I've cleared this last little bit of brush fire.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, I filed my taxes, you know, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then finding out a bunch of other stuff that's like, oh, well, that doesn't need tax, you know, or whatever. But like just the fact that I had to go through however many years worth of shit just to get now to where like, oh, and I don't know about y'all, but like I have this thing where I get conditioned to think like how it is right this minute and how I feel right this minute is eternal.
Right.
Like that's how it's going to be.
Yes.
Even though intellectually I know that's not true.
Yeah.
But you know, the whole thing of the mastery is, are you willing to do the boring part? And are you willing to do the part that really you would rather not do?
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was, I think it might be Mike Tyson that I'm quoting here. Or
Probably me or Mike Tyson. It's one of the two.
Yeah, it's either-
Sometimes I get confused. You know, was that Napoleon Hill or Wayne Salmans? But keep going. Yeah.
it was the discipline is falling in love with the shit that you hate. And actually just falling in love with the idea that that you hate it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and kind of getting off on the idea of, oh, this part sucks.
Yeah.
This is where I'm actually gaining ground.
Yes.
You know? And I love working the weekends because I always feel like, oh,
You get 10 extra steps.
yeah, dude. It's like I haven't lapped anybody yet,
Right,
but it's
yes.
like, I just gained a little bit of ground.
Yeah.
And you know, I hope that never goes away.
Right.
I don't know where it came from either. I would say probably like having a blue collar family of origin where it was just the work ethic.
Right,
You know. And which I thought was stupid when I was a kid. I was like, whatever. I'm gonna go in here and watch cartoons, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
And turns out, no. It turns out like if you actually do a little bit every day,
adds up.
Yeah, it's the here again. I'll throw Kaizen, the Japanese small persistent effort
Absolutely. Yep.
compounds.
Yep. What do you think drives you? What keeps you going? Because like you're the kid that I'm like, hey, you want to go to a movie? And you're like, no, Dad, I need to study. Like, stop distracting me. Right. So
Well,
like,
where'd that come from?
I don't know. Maybe Jesus. What do you think drives you and keeps you going?
I'm not sure specifically, I guess. I guess I don't want to end up like how a lot of my peers seem to be ending up, I guess. And I feel like a lot of them are kind of veering off the good path, I guess, and they're kind of just like going down the like we were saying earlier, the kind of like the already constructed like funnel that everyone's already going through.
Yes.
And, you know, it doesn't sound great, so.
How would you describe you? Like who is Gideon? How would you describe you?
I don't know how to describe me. Just I don't know. I'm just another teenager.
So not true. No, it's good. All right. What do you want to be proud of a year from now?
A year from now, probably get done with boot camp and all my training and be comfortable in my new job that I get. That'd be pretty good because that's about a somewhat of a year's time from now.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be it right there.
Very cool.
So now, are you looking at Air Force as a career or a career path?
I'm not 100% sure yet. It's at least going to be a stepping stone for me. And even if I get and just do 4 years, I have like that free. I can use that free tuition to go and get a degree, not get in debt with it.
Nice.
Or I might make a career out of it if I really enjoy it. I don't know. I'm still deciding, but it's my thought process is that like while I'm deciding like kind of where I want to aim, where I want to go. It's kind of a safer place to go instead of like going to college and racking up student loans while figuring out what I want to do. So
crazy.
Blowing out a wing of my brain in a frat.
Yeah, a little different.
I'm impressed though. So like, well done to you, sir.
Well, I can't take any credit, but I love this guy and I'm very proud of him. And I think one of the cool things, he's always had a very like future focus of like, hey, what do I want to do, and does this line up with this? And I mean, it's been cool. So.
Unbelievable. And so like so you grew up in Alaska fully until like just this moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I know. I used to tell people like my 8-year-old Alaska kid's more manly than any guy I know in Texas.
Bro.
And they're like, oh, hunting fish. I'm like, he walks into the woods for 2 weeks with a toothpick. You know what I mean? And it's -20. So like, game on. Yeah.
Right on. So where's boot camp?
It's over in San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
So
So actually, much closer than Alaska.
A lot. Yeah, there we go.
Right on.
All right, so it's October. What advice are you giving agents and business owners right now?
Much like my weekend philosophy, now is the time where you make up your steps.
100%.
And it's so crazy to see. Historically, it's always been there. They're like, oh, it's October. You know, everybody checks out from essentially Halloween.
Isn't it amazing? Like, people start, like, I hear people right now, they're like, oh, this just wasn't my year. And I'm like, there's this much. That's like saying in a football game, like in the third quarter, like, we did our best. Like, we'll let that team just play the fourth quarter and see how it ends up.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited now for, man, so much. So the Winning Women, they did their first show in the West the other day, and it was a banger. And so just the whole thing of, there is this small pocket of high achievers that just have this, and it's what I gravitate towards, where it's just this unending source of energy.
Yep.
And then there is, so like when the 3 gals got together in the studio the other day, it was like within 90 seconds they were gassing each other up.
Yep.
They were fired up, and they talked for like 15 minutes before we ever go on camera. And Lance comes in and he goes, whoa, save it for the show. And I'm like, dude, this tank has no bottom. Believe me, I already got the vibe. And it's that's what I want to be around. Where like, where you say like, oh no, this was my, if somebody says like, this wasn't my year, I want people around where they go like, what are you talking about, bro?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, it's not even over. And if you really, really were like into it, dedicated, next level, you could make up for, like the whole, whatever Super Bowl that was where Brady, they were losing and it was, the biggest, greatest comeback on the grandest stage of all. And it's like, okay, well, just take that as a metaphor and run with it.
Well, and I saw this race the other day, and it was an Olympic race that happened, I don't know, a couple years ago, and it was amazing. There was a group of like 8 guys running, and two of the guys in the back basically tripped and fell, right? And one guy, like you see them both fall at the exact same time. One guy falls down, hands on his head, and just like, this is over, right? Like, can't believe I fell. We're done. The other guy immediately gets back up, ends up winning the thing, right? And it was like this one guy fell down and just instantly gave up. I'm done. This is over. Whatever. Other guy, same thing, and he was actually a step behind the guy. Fell out, right, got back up, and won the thing. And it was such a great metaphor to me. Like, how many people like have a misstep and they're like, oh, year's over, right? Had a bad month, had a whatever, right? The interest rates haven't plummeted, whatever it is. And then the others are just running. And the other thing about that race that was so interesting is the guy that kept running, he wasn't looking behind him very much. He was looking ahead. He was just going like, I'm going to do my damnedest. I'm going to do my best, regardless of what they're doing. And all the other races are like, where's everybody? It's like, and he just goes, I don't care where everybody else is. I'm just going to do my absolute best. And I think that's for a thing for most people right now. It's like, just do your freaking best. And here's what I see. Like, most people go, well, I don't want to work that hard. You know what? The people that I know that work hard actually have more free time than the people that I know that don't work hard. And here's what it is, especially this time of year, this is so key, right? They look at that the next 3 months, they go, what time am I going to work? And what time am I not going to work? And they're not going to work a bunch. They're going to do the school shopping and the hangout and the Christmas shopping, all the other stuff, right? But I'll tell you what, the days they do work, they're going to nail those. And the days they don't work, they're not going to work. And you see some people like, what breaks my heart is the people that leave their family, they go to the office, and then they put in about 20% effort for the next 3 months. And they're there and they're busy, and they took time away from their kids, away from all their health, away from all this other stuff, and they didn't freaking do anything.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole social media thing where like they learned to have the illusion of X, whatever that is, whether it's the illusion of being busy, the illusion of getting work done, the illusion of success. And it's a weird thing where that has almost become like a skill that is lauded. And it's not lauded consciously. It's rewarded by the external, and there again, people driven by the external opinions of the locus of control is outside of them. Then you're okay. Now you're 100%. You're basically at the whim, even though you don't know it necessarily consciously. You're at the whim of everybody else and their opinion. I know so many people that would do crazy shit just based on what they thought somebody else would think.
100%. Or like people that are like, they're defined. Like, ask yourself, do you want to be defined by your circumstances, or do you want to be defined by your decisions? Right? And circumstances like, oh, well, that was the year interest rates this or that. It's like, no, I want to be defined by my decisions, not by the circumstances. So like, here's the circumstances, and here's what I did to get to it. And I think going back to your unconscious piece, like if I was talking to agents right now, which I'm doing a lot of calls with teams right now, and it's like, get really clear on what do I want to achieve? What would be a hell yeah in the next 60, 70 days, right? Get really clear on that. And then ask yourself, where am I being dishonest? Meaning, am I lying to myself that my schedule's, it's probably not going to help me hit that goal, or I got to get better at this. Or like, what am I, it's amazing how people are like, hey, this thing brought me 2 listings last quarter, and I think it's going to bring me 10 this quarter. It's like, that's delusion if you're not doing anything different, right? Right. So it's like, what do I want in the next 70 days? You're going to have
to 5X what you were doing.
If that's what you want. So what do I want in the next 70 days? And then ask yourself just exactly what you said, what's required? And get really, really clear on what's required, then make the decision on if you're willing to pay the price. So if it might be 3 open houses a week. It might be an open house every day for the next 30 days, and then you're really freaking proud of yourself at the end of the year. So it's like, what do I want? What's required? And then once you figure out what's required, specifically, not just work harder, like this many calls, this many open houses.
It becomes math.
100%.
It becomes math. So it's like, okay, well, for every 100 calls I do, I get a yes. Okay. All right. Well, then if you need to get 10 yeses, well, that's slightly over 300 calls. Over 300 calls. So it's like it softens the blow of the rejection and the part that sucks. The part that is the heavy lifting or whatever. Ooh, and speaking of the heavy lifting, so what do you got going? Is it next week? The legends and I saw that come up on
yes. So shout out to Tyler. Tyler's like, hey, call this person, talk about the videos.
Tyler.
And I was like, maybe we do something, whatever it is. And they're like, hey, like we've talked about different things, and they're like, oh yeah, we might need some help with this event. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Let me know. And then 2 days ago, I see a video, I see a picture from Tyler. It's like, hey, you're the keynote speaker at blah, blah, blah. And Tyler's like, hey, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, I didn't know, but I'm really excited about it. So it's going to be great. So it's Legends and Millennials, which is going to be amazing for the Young Professional Network. Now, here's the real quick. I don't know if I'm a legend or a millennial. I'm not sure where I fall, if I'm just like underneath all that, or maybe I'm, I don't know. So I'm not sure where I am on that realm.
Well, and you get to be in the world, but not of it, as you're the keynote.
There we go. Yes, there we go.
Yes.
By the way, this punk did not tell me we're sitting at his graduation, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there, and they go, and the next speech, Gideon Salmans. Did you see this thing? He walks up on stage, gives this commencement speaks. I cry like a baby. I've watched it like 16 times. Anyway, so yeah, you're a jerk for that, but I love you. Anyway, that was amazing. But yeah, Millennials is going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll do some. So like there, I didn't know, because when I saw the flyer come up, and I said, oh, I'm interested, on the social media. And I was like, huh, that's weird. Wonder why I didn't mention that.
Well, now you didn't know.
Because you didn't know you were doing it.
Absolutely.
So we'll be, so we'll come out and do some sexy footage of that. Maybe awesome. Record your whole gimmick. So probably go like half hour.
The team would be really happy with that.
There you go. Yes. Little choppity chop later on. Yeah. Cool. Whew, it was good to be back in the saddle.
Good to be back. All right, Gideon, 2 best pieces of advice for kids that are 16, 17 right now. What's your biggest piece of advice? Get off social media. 2 more.
Get off social media. Don't date in high school. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time, honestly.
Wow. And he's now canceled. So I think between those 2, you've just been canceled, but cool. This is good.
I guess I don't know. Stay motivated. Stay off your phone. Keep trying to do things. Just stay busy. Like, put your phone away and get bored boredom's good. Boredom makes you do things. It makes you be productive.
I told you it was weird.
I like that.
I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah, right on.
There you go.
All right, well then until next week, sir.
Until next week, sir.
Yeah. All right, take us out, Peter.